We have heard the word orbits throughout our life. What are the few things that come to our mind when we think of orbits? We were taught before high school that electrons revolve around the nucleus of an atom in orbits. And there are infinite orbits in an atom. When you give energy to an electron, they get excited and move to a higher orbit. Today, I'm going to talk about how we as humans also move in orbits. Just remember when we start our life as kids, move up to being a student in school, then college, and then we get busy on with our life. What do you recall being the happiest moment of your life? Being a student when you were learning, either in school or college, people say that's the happiest moment. And why is that? It's because you were constantly learning, you were constantly shifting orbits. Let me show you how my life also moved in orbits. I started my entrepreneurship journey in 2012, just 1 year after graduating from college. I found my co-founders from IIT Guwahati Computer Science. We built a company for the next 5 years. The company got acquired in 2017. Post-acquisition, 1 year down the line, I was stuck in an orbit of no growth. And that was really a tough situation for me. At that moment, me and my wife decided to start 100x Entrepreneur podcast. And we started it for a very selfish reason. The goal was, how do we become 100x of ourselves? Shift to an orbit which was 100x higher than we were there. And how do we grow? So we started recording podcasts in 2018 with some of the best entrepreneurs across India and US, some of the best venture capitalists across India and US, because they had seen the journeys of these entrepreneurs really closely. And we started understanding the mindsets, habits of these entrepreneurs. And this pushed us into orbits we were not prepared for. In 2019, I joined a venture capital firm. I'm not an IIT or an IIM. I don't come from a consultancy background like McKinsey, or I don't have such a large exit that the venture capitalists take into consideration. I was completely a black sheep into venture capital. Through 100x Entrepreneur podcast and the desire to learn, I shifted into a higher orbit. Then I got a role into Amazon in 2020, which I couldn't have fathomed that I would be there. I became the head of SaaS ecosystem for Amazon Web Services for India. And today, as I speak with you, I have built my own a $10 million venture capital fund with partners who have previously built and are building 400 crore revenue companies valued more than 2,000 crores. All this might seem rosy to you that, hey, this progress happened, these orbit shift happened. But let me share you what goes behind feeling, how I felt when these orbit shifts happened. Whenever an orbit shift happens, we are completely unprepared for growth. In 2012, when I left my stable job for entrepreneurship, my family was dependent on me, my mother, my father, my sister. The day I quit my job and became a full-time entrepreneur without a paycheck in my bank now, I cried a lot because the zone I entered in was completely new to me. I was supposed to solve problems which have previously not been solved, problems which were thought of being unsolvable. And this new orbit of entrepreneurship completely bamboozled me. Moving forward, as I kept, growing into that orbit, and I kept accepting myself in that orbit, I got prepared for a higher orbit. When the company got acquired in 2017, I was not prepared for that also. Whenever these orbit shifts happen, whenever this huge growth happens in your life, you come into a situation when you think, hey, what is this? I was never expecting this to happen. And whenever as you move forward into a higher orbit, you completely, think that you are losing yourself. You even sometimes face imposter syndrome. And let me show you now today, how do you, identify what orbit you are in? How do you move orbits? So once you have thought of, right, I'm at a point in my life, right? Let's call that point X. How do you move to X plus Y, which is a higher orbit? First of all, if you are stuck in a single orbit, you will know that because you will have the same pattern day in, day out. You will meet the same set of people day in, day out. You will associate with the same set of, environment as you are stuck in an orbit. To move to a higher orbit, you have to identify the next three levers of growth that will take you there. And the input to move a higher orbit, or maybe several set of inputs, will give you jitters, because these are the things that you have never done before. Let me show you through a journey of Super Mario, how Super Mario moved orbits. This is a game that you would have all played in your life as kids. Mario starts as a very tiny Mario. Then he acquires superpower, moves to a higher orbit, becomes a giant Mario. Then the giant Mario acquires more superpower, shifts a higher orbit, and can now throw balls. And this is the orbit shift that happens in Mario, helps him to move through various levels and ultimately conquer the dragon and rescue the princess. Mario journey shows us that for us to reach to the higher orbit, sometimes we don't know what is required, but we just need to take that leap of faith moving forward. Now, coming to what is, how do you identify that this is the highest orbit of growth for me? Entrepreneurship for many people and has been said to be the ultimate path which takes them to orbits they have never imagined. Being an entrepreneur, you daily solve problems which were unsolved, impossible to solve. And as you move through various journeys as an entrepreneur, day in, day out, you keep on growing. So I encourage you all, right, if you are exploring to move to the highest orbits in your life, think about being a full-time entrepreneur sometime in your life. And today, as I am speaking before you, I present you, the highest purpose of my life, and which is the highest orbit that I set for myself, is to impact 1 billion people positively and help them achieve their maximum positive potential. Today, I challenge you, find the highest orbit of your growth and take that input, take that path that will shift to your highest orbit. Thank you.